quotas, and subsequently, even after that, to allow black students to go into white schools. It was 250 years before an exceptional half-black American became president. So, my colleague has put it, square pegs trying to be put into round holes. Will we ever make the pegs the same? No. You suggest to the Malay that we should abolish these provisions in the Constitution, and you will have grave disquiet. So we start on the basis that this is reality, that we will not be able to get a Chinese minister or an Indian minister to persuade Malay parents to look after their daughters more carefully and not have teenage pregnancies, which leads to failed marriages. Subsequent marriages also fail and delinquents. Can a Chinese MP or an Indian MP do that? You are interfering with my private life. But we have funded Mendaki and Moyes, and they've got a committee to try and reduce the numbers of such unhappy outcomes. So the way Singapore has made its progress is by a realistic step-by-step forward. And it may take us centuries before we get to a similar position as the Americans. They go to wars, the blacks and the whites. In the First World War, they did not carry arms. They carried the ammo. They were not given the honor to fight. In the Second World War, they went back. They were ex-GIs. Yes, those who could make it to university were given the GI grants, but they went back to the black ghettos, 1945, and they stayed there. And today, they're still black ghettos. These are realities. And the American Constitution does not say that you will treat blacks differently. But our Constitution spells out the duty of the government to treat Malays and other minorities with extra care. So the basis on which the nominated member has placed his arguments is false and flawed. It's completely untrue. It's got no basis whatsoever. And I thought to myself, perhaps I should bring this house back to earth and remind everybody what is our starting point, what is our base, and if we don't recognize where we started from and that these are our foundations, we will fail. So nobody can speak with I wouldn't say authority, with the knowledge that I have, because I knew the circumstances in which that pledge was made. And I admired the sentiments, Mr. Raja. I could not have, at that moment in 1965, my worry was what would the Malays in Singapore do now that they knew they were a minority and that we would wreak havoc with them as we were made to suffer when we were a minority. And when I returned on the 9th of August, on the advice of our special branch, I did not go back to my house. I stayed at Temasek, which was my official residence, and stayed there for 1 week. Then I went to Changi Cottage and stayed there for 2 months to make sure that everything subsides. These are realities. Today, 44 years later, we have a Malay community, I believe, at peace, convinced that we are not discriminating against them, convinced that we are including them in our society. The member works in Cinder. I'm told he's been there for 10 years. He will know Indians are not equal. There are those, for Brahmins, they will not be in Cinder. It is the non-Brahmins who are in Cinder. So I think it was dangerous to allow such highfalutin ideas to go undemolished and mislead Singapore. We are here today. We have this building. We have all these facilities. All around us is evidence of our accountability. Without being accountable, we would not have been re-elected, and there would have been no Singapore of today. So I beg to move.